point is, what we're going to talk about today is how one goes about creating enduring, radiant health. That's the key. And at the top, there's 5 really key things. One is putting God at the center of your life. It doesn't matter this religion, that religion, personal God, but you're connected to Source. And Source gives you purpose and meaning. So meaning is the general connection, but purpose is, what are you doing in your life? What we know is people who have a purpose in their life, at whatever age, live longer. It's really important to understand. The research shows that it isn't about, oh, can you overwork and fatigue yourself? No, it doesn't really say that. It says something very different. It says with purpose, with a creative purpose, you can work really hard and you're going to live longer, up to 5 years longer, which is a lot. One of the main areas of research I took this on was the Tyrion study. It's an 80-year study from 1910 to 1990. He didn't survive the study, but his researchers continued on. And they started with kids who were 5 years old and began interviewing them. So, and then they followed them for 80 years. That's really, really unique data to look at. But the first question is, do you have meaning, connection with yourself, the truth of who you are? That's how we do meditation. That's why we do the yoga. Incidentally, that did come up. We are going to start meditation at 7 o'clock, and it's going to be in this room, and then at 7:30 we'll do yoga in this room so we can get everybody to fit in. So I cleared that, okay? This room, 7, and a.m., correct. So it'll be in this room, and then we'll do the Shaktipat meditation. Everything will happen here. We just have to clear the chairs in the morning and put them back. So that's cleared. Okay, so very important is to be in touch with yourself. Another aspect is what I'm going to talk about is adaptability. We live in a really hard world these days, in case you haven't noticed. And the key for survivability is to be adaptable. If it's going this way instead of you wanted to go that way, the idea is to not resist the change and go with that flow the best you can. So adaptability turns out to be one of the key things in survival and longevity. People who are fighting against their life create a lot of extra stress, and they don't live as long. So that's what the research shows, okay? And the other kind of way of looking about it is willpower. It's a very important thing. And it isn't just willpower to live longer, although it is that. It's willpower in your life. We all have obstacles. It's the way it is. But those obstacles are there to help us grow. But if we don't have that willpower to push through, then we lose that advantage. We lose the opportunity for the lesson. And it affects our growth. And in essence, it diminishes our longevity. So as they look at the research again, this 80-year research, and a lot of other research too, willpower, really, really important part of the story. Okay, now, this may sound funny, but remember, they're interviewing kids at 5 years old. And what they found is kids who become adults, obviously, who are conscientious, prudent, and thoughtful, but conscientious is the word, actually live about 5 years longer, which again is very, very significant. People who are conscientious tend to pay more attention to their life, more attention to their relationship, more attention to the life purpose, and they have less accidents. They have, the way they live their life is much more thought out. So you can see, probably a lot of people in this audience are pretty conscientious because we're thinking about our diet, we're thinking about the food we're eating. You know, they have a term called orthorexia. It's so inappropriate because it's designed by people who aren't conscientious. Follow what I just said? And it is actually reasonable to be conscientious. It is reasonable to pay attention to what you're eating. What you're eating can make a significant difference in the longevity process. But it isn't just longevity. It's quality of life as you're living. So you could be 100 and stiff and frail, or you could be 100 in a robust way. Okay? So that's the point I'm making. So the quality of life is important. When you're conscientious, you're giving yourself the best options, the best opportunities, the best food. You choose the best situations. You work the best you can in terms of relationship. You are very thoughtful. Is this a good job for me? Am I doing what is right? Now, I don't mean just work job, because people are doing humanitarian work, we're doing different things you may not make money from, but is this the best situation? So we don't accept what isn't really right. That's the point I'm making. So conscientious people are really thinking about the whole story. And they just simply live longer, have less accidents, have less, I'm going to say problems, but not that people are problem-free, but their solutions are more healthy. So, conscientious, one of the top 5. And then optimal diet is in the top 5. And what makes an optimal diet? We look at, in our world here, we're talking 100% vegan, at least 80% live food. We're talking about organic. We're talking about well-hydrated with good water. Okay? We're talking about really diet will include your exercise, your energetic input. Those are some of the issues about diet. And I'm going to go a little bit in depth, but I'm not going to give a talk on live food or veganism because we've kind of done that. But what we do know is that vegans, I didn't say live food because there actually isn't enough data on that, but vegans in general, vegan women live about 7.2 years longer, and vegan men live about 4.4 years longer. Roughly speaking, again, that's very, very significant. Now, if we understand vegan from a bigger point of view, I call it holistic veganism. Being vegan is really good for the environment in a very big way, in multiple ways. Again, that's a whole talk. I'm just saying it's really good for the air, water, and earth. It is really good for our health. We know that people who are vegan have 32% less heart disease, significantly less cancer, 35 to 50% less diabetes, less osteoporosis by about a quarter, 1/4 the amount of osteoporosis. High blood pressure, 26% of meat eaters have high blood pressure versus 2% of vegans. And it goes on and on. So, yes, being vegan is much healthier. And being vegan, by eating lower on the food chain, we avoid a whole lot of toxins that are in the environment. The research shows that about 96% of the toxins, environmental toxins, the pesticides, herbicides, are in animal flesh because animals are at more top of the food chain, whereas plants are more at the bottom. So we will get some, even if you're eating organic, you're going to get some pesticides and herbicides, but significantly less. And we know that pesticides and herbicides interfere with reproduction, with sperm motility, with fertility for women. So clearly, eating lower in the food chain, you're getting less exposure. A vegan mother has 2% of the toxins in her breast milk as a meat-eating mother. So there are lots of things about longevity. The sperm count today is about 50% of what it used to be 40 years ago. It varies in estimates, but we go too much lower than that, and infertility there will be a major problem. In terms of spirituality, pretty much all the traditions except one support veganism as the main diet. Obviously, on top of that, we have life with veganism. Okay, but I'm just going to stay with veganism for the moment because that's where our data is. So that's there as part of the story. So those are some of the reasons for being vegan. It's not just for yourself, but it's for healing and protection of the planet. Okay, so think in the bigger way. It's for fertility. It's for the continuation of the human species. Because we're getting so toxic that it's almost like we're not going to be able to reproduce. Maybe just the vegans will reproduce and we'll have a vegan world. I don't know. We'll see. But there's enough data about vegan reproduction but clearly less pesticides and herbicides, you're going to have more fertility.